Hello, welcome to another series of discussions about the Downbelow RPG. I am Ian Price.
And I'm Steve.
And we are the creators, and we're now in Steve's territory because this series of discussions, we're going to talk about the world.
Yep, the last one we talked about recapping the rules that we have for the game so far. This time we're actually going to go over a couple of things and revisit the greater world and Nuevo Paradiso, our default setting, in specific. Today we are going to spend a few minutes talking about the economy, and not the boring economy of plenty that most of the world has, but specifically the Downbelow economy. Actually,
what is the Downbelow economy? What do you mean by that?
So, I lied. We're going to start by talking about the economy of the rest of the world.
Oh no! We lied!
The short version of that is, the reason I mentioned boring, most of the world has functionally an economy of plenty. We're in Star Trek territory, people. Most people don't have to worry about little things like going hungry, needing to pay rent, or generally having crippling debt hanging over their heads. These are not the people that your stories are about. Most people fit into the system.
There's a world where things like a guaranteed basic income have actually been implemented in most places in the world, and there is a plenty of resources that is allowing this to happen. And that's sort of the background, because that's not the story we're telling. We're telling a story about the people who get left out for various reasons.
The world in which your characters play, even if not your characters themselves, and I'll touch on that in just a moment, is a world where the system is not functioning and people actually have to gasp, sometimes struggle for a living. The basic economy of the Downbelow, which is the counterculture / outside culture area that, well, naming aside, it exists somewhat outside of the regular world, is one of exchange. Generally speaking, one exchanges services for other services. Sometimes those are services for items, sometimes those are services for the use of legitimate currency, and sometimes it's just straight up, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
And like in all basic primitive economies, there is an extensive use of the idea of personal credit, not so much like credit card companies do, but the idea that you know each other and therefore you keep an accounting, not necessarily a written accounting, as in this is worth X specific amount, although there might be such things, but more you keep track of how much you're doing for this person, and then you call on them for what they owe you when you need something that they can actually give you.
Let's give a specific example of how this works in a smaller sense. Reggie is someone who is in the Downbelow world, but on the outskirts. Reggie has access to functioning credit with the greater society. He just doesn't fit into the greater society. This could be for a variety of reasons. We can go into those later, but for now, let's just mention the fact that Reggie's contribution to the Downbelow economy is that Reggie can reliably get food. All the food Reggie needs, and then some. People who know Reggie do Reggie small favors. Perhaps Reggie is housebound, and so the people who know him do such things as running errands and picking up food that Reggie has purchased in exchange for a cut of that food. Perhaps Reggie is persona non grata in certain areas, but needs to do business there. Those people might transport goods for Reggie in exchange for access to Reggie's line of credit.
Reggie is probably legitimately either a criminal or otherwise illegitimately on the actual credit of the regular economy, and that's why he's persona non grata.
The point that I'm getting at in this is that the actual currency of Downbelow, at the end of the day, still turns into the same money that is being used by the rest of the world. It's just not freely handed out to anyone. But what if you can't get access to that currency? That's where we go a level lower. At that point, we're dealing with people who are straight up trading in goods. At some point, the goods enter the system, usually by the actions of someone like the Reggies of the world, and are beginning to be passed around in the Downbelow world. A level below that, you get people who are trading purely on reputation and services. At this point, we're in the area of not just will work for food, but will work for work, will work for reputation. There's a lot of times when you'll do a favor for someone just because you know they'll be good for it later, and in the world of Downbelow, you'd better be good for it later because eventually you'll need more favors.
And it bears mentioning that these are not strata that are divided from each other in any kind of hard and fast way. These are different levels of economic activity that any one person might well engage in over the course of a given day or a given week in the Downbelow world.
Everyone's usefulness to the Downbelow community comes from somewhere, and practically nobody is completely disconnected from the regular world. They just don't quite fit into the regular world. This can range from everyone's favorite player archetype, the highly connected corporate secret agent that is, in fact, on the payroll of the powers that be, but has to interact with Downbelow, and can't just solve all their problems with money because nobody will accept just straight up money if they've got nowhere to spend it. Or it could be someone who is literally a disconnected bum, but is connected through their associates and through their general network of bums, eventually back to where the goods and services all flow from. So, what is the Downbelow economy? Frankly, it's a mess, because it's a mess of currency exchange, service exchange, straight up barter, and a reputation-based economy. And next time we're going to talk about ways that you can use all of these things to implement and hook in your players to the story of your choosing.
And after that, we'll start to talk about where these things take place. So look forward to how to implement this economy in your game, and in the future, more on our specific setting.